Hello my friends, in this video we're going to be looking at some neat little exam tips and tricks you can use to pass your exam. Now on my left here I have my 5 little tricks and tips, and on my right here I am using the CXC CSEC mathematics paper, and that is paper 2. Remember, we have 2 papers. We have a paper 1 and a paper 2. Paper 1 has to do with the multiple choice, while paper 2, as we have here, is the written paper. It's a structured paper where you have to work out your calc and do your calculations. All right. Now here we have paper 2 is comprised, and even before I get into this, let me make a very important note that this is the year 2013. Now this is the present structure of the CXC paper. Okay, now however in future we don't know if CXC may change the structure of their paper. Okay, so but even if they change the structure, our steps will still stand. Okay, it doesn't matter which exam you're doing, you can apply these steps. Okay, these steps are universal to any exam, okay, and any time. However, depending on the structure of your paper, you would just simply have to manipulate the steps, you know, according to how the exam is structured, right? So note again, it's 2013. CXC may change the paper in the future, so all you have to do is to know the structure of the paper and then apply the steps. Okay, and let me just give you a breakdown of the paper quickly. Here on your CXC mathematics paper, paper 2, you have section 1 that has 8 questions. Okay, my friends, and in section 1 these 8 questions are compulsory. It simply means you have to do all 8 questions. Okay, now in section 2 we have a total of 3 questions where you're required to choose any 2 questions. Okay, so for example, in question 9, that has to do with functions, relations, and graphs. In question 10, that has to do with geometry, trigonometry, and measurements. And question 11 has to do with vectors and matrices. Okay, so pretty much you should know by now your favorite of the two, of all 3 topics, which 2 is your favorite. So you would have already identified the 2 topics that you will be focusing on. All right, now pretty much let's just walk over here now to my left. Step 1 states that, my friends, you should know the total number of questions you must do, okay, which we have gone through. 8 in section 1, 2 from any 2 from section 2, so that's a total of 10 questions we must do in the exam, and you must know the time that we are given to do the paper. Okay, now the paper, all right, my friends, the paper, they gave it to us, right? The paper should be completed in a maximum of 2 hours. Okay, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Okay, so basically, my friends, this is the time given to complete the 10 questions. All right, what I'm gonna do now, in step 2 here, they have stated that we should determine the maximum amount of time you should take to complete each question. So since we are working with hours and minutes, and we want to know the maximum amount of minutes that should be spent on each question, we are going to convert our hours to minutes. Okay, we know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, so we're just simply going to multiply 2 times 60, and that would give us a 120 minutes. Okay, my friends, and then basically we are going to add the 40 minutes to that. Okay, so we should complete the paper in a total of 160 minutes, okay, which is the same as 2 hours and 40 minutes. So we have a total of 160 minutes to complete 10 questions. All right, so my friends, let's now quickly give you the breakdown of the amount of minutes required to spend on each question. Now if you notice at step 4 here, my friends, and I'm just going to skip step 3 for now and go to step 4, where we have here, take the first 10 minutes and browse through the paper to decide the questions you are going to do first. Okay, so in the first 10 minutes of the question, you should plan your paper. So out of this 160 minutes that we have to do the 10 questions, you are going to take the first 10. Do not start writing your paper as yet. You need to plan the paper. Okay, so the first 10 minutes you're going to take to plan your paper. Okay, so this is the plan should take place in the first 10 minutes of the paper. 10 minutes. What this means is that you're going to decide you are going to use this 10 minutes to browse through the entire paper, and you're going to decide the easiest questions to begin with. Okay, so it simply means you may find question 5 to be the easiest question for you, and then you may find question 2 to be the next in line, then question 4, then 3. It doesn't matter the order that you work the paper in. Okay, it doesn't matter. You don't have to work question 1 first, then question 2, then 3 in that order. You choose the questions that you find the easiest to work. For some persons, they may find their section 2 to be the 2 optional questions. They may choose to do those 2 questions first, and then they move to section 1. Okay, now the important thing to note in that is that when attempting a new question, you should attempt it on a new sheet of paper. Okay, my friends. Now let's say you started with question 6. Then it simply means then that if you know how to do 6A and B, but you don't know how to do part C as yet, right? You're not sure how to do part C, you would leave the space blank just in case later on you'd come back to complete it. Okay, so pretty much that's it. So it doesn't matter the order. So the first 10 minutes we're going to plan the paper, so that's 10 minutes out of the 160 minutes. Okay, my friends. Now the second thing we're going to do, we're going to now determine the number of minutes per question. So basically, my friends, I have it here to work out to be a total of 12 minutes per question. You shouldn't spend more than 12 minutes per question. So for example, on question 1, you're going to spend 12 minutes. Okay, and let me just pause this and put them in. So there we have it, my friends. In section 1, each question you should spend a maximum of 12 minutes per question. Okay, now this is very important. Okay, and this takes us to step 3 now. Okay, where it states carry a watch with you in the exam and place it on your desk. Okay, so you're going to use your watch on your desk, and the reason why I say take a watch with you in the exam or a timepiece is that even though in the exam room the invigilators may have a clock on the wall, or they may be keeping time on the board, on the whiteboard, you don't want to have to, when you're having your head down on your desk working, you have to be raising up your head to look on the wall. That may break your concentration and break your flow. Okay, my friends, you need to have a watch on the table where you don't have to be looking too far away, where you just can glance on the time to keep a track of yourself. Okay, selves. Okay, and in some exam rooms it's very large, and you may be too far at the back and it's too hard to see the clock up front. Okay, so pretty much that's why it's very important you walk with a watch. Remember now, no cell phones are used in the exam, so please, you can leave that at home on the day. All right, your cell phones. Now pretty much, my friends, if you notice, we have a total of 8 questions now, and we are going to be spending 12 minutes per question. Now let's just check that up. Here we would have a 12 multiplied by 8, okay, and that would give us a total of 96 minutes. Okay, my friends, so we have a total of 96 minutes. So we have 10 plus 96, that we have gone 106 minutes so far. Now, my friends, this in section 2 now, my friends, this is very important. We're going to spend 15 minutes per question, okay, in section 2. So let's say, for example, you chose to do question 9 and question 11 in section 2. Okay, you're going to spend a maximum of 15 minutes on question 9 and a maximum of 15 minutes. Okay, hopefully you can complete the question in a shorter time, but that's the maximum amount of time to spend on each question. So there we have it, my friends. We have gone another 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes. So if you notice, for the exam so far, we have 106. 10 plus 96, that's 106, plus another 30, that's a total of 136 minutes. Okay, 136 minutes. Now remember, when we calculated, we had a total of 160 minutes. Okay, so we can check the amount of time we have left over now. So time left, the time that's left is equal to 160, which is the total, minus the time that we have used so far. So we would have a total of 24 minutes. 24 minutes. Okay, now basically, my friends, you would have gone through all of the paper. You would have maximized your marks already. Okay, so you now have another 24 extra minutes left over now to go through the questions that you didn't complete. So let's say, for example, when you were at question 2, you only could have completed parts A and C. Now you could have gone back through the paper to complete B. Okay, let's say at question 4, you only completed A, B, C, but you didn't complete D. You could have now used that 24 minutes rather, you have left to do your checks and complete the questions that you didn't, that you had to leave out earlier when you were going through on your 12 minute per question thing. Now, my friends, the thing about it, you don't, why I chose this formula to use is that you don't want to spend too much time on any one question. So for example, another candidate will spend 20 minutes on question 1, just for example, and you only can get a maximum of 11 marks from question 1. Okay, so if you are spending 20 minutes per question, then by the time you reach question 3, you would have gone 60 minutes and you only can get a maximum of 30 points. But if you spread your marks across the entire paper, it's much easier to pass the exam because you are maximizing your marks. Okay, so pretty much these are just some little pointers. Note for paper 1 in the afternoon, for paper 1, the math paper that is, in the afternoon, you have a total of 90 minutes to do a total of 60 questions on the multiple choice. Okay, so basically, my friends, you would have a maximum of 1.5 minutes per question. Okay, 60 questions in 90 minutes, that's 1 minute and 30 seconds per question. That's for paper 1. Hope that you find these tips useful, and if you notice in tip 5 now, this is pretty easy. All you have to do now is to execute your steps and pass your exams. Okay, feel free to leave a comment on our Facebook page if this has helped you in any way, and we'll get back to you if you have any more questions. You could also leave those in the comment section. All right, bye bye.